had absolutely nothing to do with what happened to the Jews in Europe. So what do you want from us?
But the war did happen, and because of the war, it was imperative that the Jewish people have their own state.
So you got your own state. While the Palestinians are still denying a state of their own.
You can have your own state too when you agree that Israel can have secure and recognizable borders.
Why shouldn't we agree with that?
Then why are we arguing?
Because Israel refuses to accept that there must be a Palestinian state too.
And the PLO refuses to let Israel live in peace.
And Israel refuses to treat the Palestinian people with respect.
And the Palestinian people want to destroy us.
Simply not true. In fact, Israel wants to destroy us.
No way. It is you who want to destroy us.
We're the victims of Israeli aggression.
And we're the victims of your aggression. That's why we have to maintain a military presence to defend ourselves against you.
The United Nations has repeatedly called for the creation of a Palestinian state with secure and recognizable borders. Israel is obligated to abide by these resolutions.
And the Arabs were obligated to accept the UN resolution that ratified the creation of the State of Israel. But instead of accepting the vote, what happened was that as soon as Israel declared its independence, we were attacked by 5 Arab countries.
The creation of the State of Israel was an intolerable affront to every Arab in the region.
We offered the olive branch of peace to you, and you threw it back right in our faces. So what are we supposed to conclude from that?
The Arab people were angry, but Israel and her Western allies would not budge.
So you converted the region into a battleground.
Oh, no. Israel did that.
All we did was declare our independence. You were the ones that started the fighting.
And you were the ones who provoked us.
And you were the ones who refused to negotiate.
And you were the ones who refused to compromise.
And you were the ones who wouldn't let us live in peace.
And you were the ones who took our land and made us refugees.
And you were the ones who vowed to destroy us.
Destroy you? In 1958, Israel invaded Egypt. In 1967, she grabbed the West Bank and Gaza. And in 1982, she invaded Lebanon. So who was trying to destroy whom?
We were defending ourselves.
You mean you were trying to crush us?
You're the ones who are trying to crush us.
So why are we in refugee camps?
Because you're too busy fighting us instead of opting for peace.
Leave the West Bank and Gaza, and then maybe we'll stop fighting.
We'll leave when we have assurances that your new state will not attack Israel.
Why would we want to attack Israel?
Because the PLO still wants to liberate the entire state of Israel.
That's no longer our goal.
And we're supposed to believe that?
Yes.
Despite your repeated vows to destroy Israel?
Yes.
What evidence can you offer as proof that you no longer want to destroy Israel?
2000 Camp David Accord.
The meeting was a farce, a cynical ploy on the part of the PLO to consolidate its position in the West Bank, while at the same time demanding the right of return to the country it wants to destroy.
Not destroy, liberate.
No, destroy. It's common knowledge that the PLO wants to destroy Israel.
Not true. We want peace.
You've got a strange way of showing it. In fact, when you continue talking about establishing a Palestinian state, you continue your vicious policy of terror against the Israeli people.
What policy of terror? The PLO categorically deplores all acts of terrorism.
That is complete garbage. You protect terrorists. So don't tell me that you now deplore terrorism.
That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, please spare me the bowl.
We are doing what we can to suppress terrorism.
If that's true, then you're doing a very poor job of it. And if this is the best the PLO can do, then I have to wonder how much authority the PLO actually has.
The current president of the Provisional Palestinian Government, Yasser Arafat, is in full control of the situation.
Then why can't you root out the terrorists who are under his jurisdiction? Or maybe just not want to root them out?
What are you talking about? He could do the job.
But if he can't do the job, then some other Palestinian leader will have to do it, or Israel will do it for you.
There's no need to threaten us. We can police ourselves.
Then prove it by stopping your children from throwing stones at our soldiers.
Impossible.
Why?
Because the presence of the Israelis is provoking them.
We're to blame for your children attacking the Israeli soldiers?
Of course.
That is other nonsense. You're just using your children to attack us.
No, we don't.
No, it is you who's doing the citing. And if you think that we will tolerate being attacked by your children, you better think again.
Do you mean that you will hurt our children?
No, I mean we will retaliate against those who incite their own children to commit acts of violence, meaning people like you.
Meaning me? You're out of your mind.
No, you're out of your mind. In fact, you're the problem.
Oh yeah? You're the problem.
No, you're the problem. You're inciting your children to attack us.
Wrong. Our children simply want the Israelis to leave.
And who's telling them that Israel should leave?
The Israelis through their own punitive actions.
No, it's people like you who are teaching your children to hate us, and that doesn't do you or your cause any good.
Israel has given them cause to hate.
No, we want to live in peace with all our neighbors.
Then all you have to do is leave those areas that are under Palestinian jurisdiction.
We were in the process of doing just that. But instead of leading to peace, it has produced more fighting.
With Israel being the perpetrator.
And the Palestinians being the instigators.
And the Israelis being vicious.
And the Palestinians being fanatical. Besides, why would Israel want to continue fighting?
Because Israel wants to push every Palestinian out of the West Bank and Gaza and establish a huge Israeli state.
Pure fantasy. We accept the eventuality of a Palestinian state, and we are prepared to live with the state in peaceful coexistence, provided that it is a mutual goal.
We feel the same way.
Then prove it by stopping your attacks on us, and stop using your children as suicide bombers.
And stop using the Israeli army to make war on the Palestinian people.
And stop spreading vicious, slanderous lies that Israeli soldiers have massacred civilians.
That's what the Israelis did during their incursion in 2002.
That is a mitigated lie. In that operation, the Israeli army went after and destroyed terrorist networks that were operating with complete impunity within your country.
Let's get down to brass tacks, okay? The facts are that Israel is in violation of UN Resolution 242, which calls for Israel to withdraw from the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and General Assembly Resolution 3236, which says that the Palestinians have the right to return to their homes and property from which they had been uprooted. When will Israel comply with these resolutions?
When the Palestinians are ready to accept General Assembly Resolution 181, which the Arabs flagrantly ignored when they attacked Israel in 1948. We wanted to live in peace and establish our own state in accordance with the UN resolution. But instead, you chose war. So don't start telling me about UN resolutions.
And what about dismantling the hundreds of Jewish settlements that the Israelis built after they occupied the rest of Palestine in 1967?
What about the settlements?
According to UN Resolution 242, Israel is required to withdraw its armed forces from the areas it occupied in the 1967 war. Instead, there are now hundreds of Jewish settlements in the occupied areas. That's not right.
We wouldn't have gone into the West Bank in the first place if NASA had ordered the UN peacekeepers out of the Sinai.
What did that have to do with the West Bank?
It was obvious that NASA wanted to start a war. Therefore, we had to reinforce and expand our defensive perimeter, which meant going into the West Bank.
No. You just wanted to grab more land and complete the process started in 1948 when you wound up evicting half of the Palestinians.
In 1948, the Arabs attacked us. What did you expect us to do? Not defend ourselves?
A Jew talking about defending himself? Isn't it a little late for that kind of talk? How come they didn't defend themselves in 1935 when the Nazis disenfranchised them? What kind of people would have taken that kind of talk or treatment?
What are you saying? That the Jews themselves let themselves be victimized?
That's right, stupid. That's exactly what I'm saying, and that's why your pal Muhammad has absolutely no respect for you.
I could talk for myself.
Okay, Maestro, your thoughts.
You Jews are so deluded trying to gain the sympathy of the world. A world that has always rejected you. A world that looked the other way while your people were being gassed and thrown into ovens.
But I survived. And now you have to deal with me.
I'll deal with you. I'll kick your ass back to Europe.
You've heard me enough already. Can't you ever stop fighting me?
You started this.
No, you attacked me first, and then you and your filthy gang that went after my family.
I told you, I had nothing to do with
More
that.
lies, more crap from you. Why can't you admit that it was you? For once, why can't you be honest?
Now that is the question.
Like, I am being honest, you just don't believe me.
Yeah, like I can believe you?
Believe what you want, creep.
I'm a creep. Then what does that make you?
Certainly not a creep.
Oh yeah, what about child molester?
What?
After your gang left me on the street for dead, you went to my home and beat up my 10-year-old son.
That's a flat-out lie.
Ah, lie, the truth. The description the perpetrator my son gave the police for a striking resemblance to you.
I am not a child molester.
Tell that to your PLO pals. And also, stay the hell away from my family. Do you hear me?
I've done nothing to your family. You always hated me.
That's because you hate me.
Yes, this is the kind of talk I've been waiting for. Direct, to the point, honest. Isn't it wonderful?
We just wanted the Jews to leave.
Listen, we're there and we're staying. Israel will not be dismantled. You will not force us to leave. Moreover, by attacking us in 1948, the Arabs acted in defiance of the UN resolution that partitioned Palestine into two separate states.
A partition which meant being forced to leave our homes.
But which also gave the Arabs the choice of living in peace.
How could anyone have expected the Arabs to accept such a bogus arrangement?
You made your choice, which was war.
The UN did what it pleased, and the Arabs had to do what they had to do.
Which was to attack Israel.
We attacked Israel because you people would not leave our land.
So you want UN resolutions 242 and 3236 to be enforced, while 181 should be ignored? Is that what you're saying?
We have the right of return.
So while Palestinians are vowing to destroy Israel, we're supposed to let them back into Israel.
And we're supposed to accept Israeli oppression?
What oppression? We're defending ourselves against your so-called infatata.
And we declared intifada because Israel still wants to dominate instead of conciliate.
You have rebuffed all our attempts to negotiate a settlement.
We reached an agreement in 1993, but Israel violated that agreement.
How can we agree to anything when we are being attacked by suicide bombers?
That's right, Mohammed. How can they agree?
But what can we do when Israel continues to maintain Jewish settlements on Palestinian land?
Let me
Right, Moishe?
tell you
What can they
something.
do?
Let me tell you something. Israel will not buckle under the terror or be intimidated into making concessions.
Well, world opinion demands that Israel withdraw from our land.
We'll withdraw, but only when our security is irrefutably guaranteed. And right now we are under attack, so we are not withdrawing.
Israeli presence in the West Bank and Gaza continues to hinder any chance of a permanent peace.
And Palestinian terror continues to undermine any chance of conciliation.
Palestinian terror? What about Israeli terror and Israelis' repressive measures?
Like in 1948, when 5 Arab countries attacked Israel on its first day of independence, who was trying to repress whom?
That's ancient history. Let's talk about now.
What about now? Has your attitude changed? Are you willing to live in peaceful coexistence with the state of Israel?
Of course we are.
But can we believe you?
Yes, you can believe us.
We can't afford to be wrong.
And we don't want to be refugees forever.
And we don't want to be in a permanent state of war.
We want peace too.
But we will not succumb to terror.
And we have already renounced the use of terror.
Yet Israel still continues to be attacked by terrorists.
We're trying to deal with that problem.
Don't make me laugh. You're so pissed off at the Jews that you'd nuke them if you thought you could get away with it.
Nuke them. It's Israel who has nuclear weapons, not us.
That is a pure, unabashed lie designed to further excite the world against the Jews and discredit the state of Israel.
What say you to that?
Oh yeah? Just a rumor? I don't think you'd be acting so high and mighty if you didn't have the nuclear card up your sleeve.
Listen, you fool. Let's get this straight once and for all. Israel has no need to resort to weapons of mass destruction to defend itself. That's your area of expertise, not ours.
So you're an expert on weapons of mass destruction, are you?
Not me, no way.
But I read somewhere that you were arrested by Israeli security forces for building bombs meant to blow up targets inside of Israel.
Yes, I was arrested and then detained without any formal charges ever being preferred against me. In other words, I became a hostage.
Yeah, and by the way, who was the officer that arrested you?
It was him.
I was just doing my job.
No, you deliberately misused your authority to torment me, terrorize me, and tear me away from my family like the Neanderthal that you are.
Ha! You and your big words, Neanderthal. Where'd you think that up? Listen, I don't care what your political job is in your so-called government. As far as I'm concerned, you're nothing but a two-bit thug. You were threatening my country, and I'm glad I arrested you before you could do any real damage. You deserve to be detained, and how you managed to get released is beyond me.
You two guys are something else. Every time either one of you open up your mouth, all you produce are accusations, invectives, complaints. Can't you agree on anything?
Sure, we can agree on something.
And what's that?
You're a scheming skunk.
me tell you something. The Jews are the most oppressed people in history. The Jews were victims of Nazi racism and persecution. The Jews were herded into ghettos and concentration camps while the rest of the world stood by and watched. And all this happened because the Jews were defenseless. Otherwise, the Nazis would not have dared to do what they did. There is no way that the Jewish people will ever let themselves be victims again. If you think that Israel's methods are harsh, well, the Jewish people learned their lessons from the experts in state-sponsored terrorism. And I shudder to think what would happen to the Jews if Israel was obliterated.
Nothing would happen to the Jewish people. We respect the Jewish people and the Jewish religion, which we acknowledge as a revealed religion.
Then what is your problem?
That Israel continues to treat the Palestinian people the same way the Jewish people were treated by the Nazis.
You have no idea what you're talking about. Is Israel committing genocide? Does Israel want to conquer the world? Is the Israeli government a dictatorship?
I know that the Jewish people suffered terribly under the Nazis. Nevertheless, just like the Nazis, Israel is using brute force to repress an entire people.
Brute force to repress an entire people? What?
That's right. You're destroying our homes, denying us opportunity for employment, restricting our freedom of movement, and limiting our water supply. Brutal measures which are intended to keep us down and maintain your illegal occupation.
Don't blame Israel, blame the PLO. If you had a leadership that was committed to making peace with Israel, then maybe the situation would be different. As it is now, the Israeli people have no choice but to defend themselves.
And the Palestinian people have no choice but to continue their struggle for independence.
And the Israelis have no choice but to continue a struggle for and ensure its survival.
That's right, my friends. The arguments go on and on and on. Whether their conflict will be resolved, only the future will tell. But one thing is certain. These two guys are still human beings who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. As long as we remember that, there is still hope.